All right, let's talk about the signature policy, the big legal defeat, and the one final gamble that could change absolutely everything. We're breaking down Donald Trump's high-stakes showdown at the Supreme Court. So, you know Trump's whole economic game plan? It pretty much boils down to one huge idea: massive, sweeping tariffs. I mean, it is his go-to move, the policy he has staked his entire reputation on. But, there's a pretty big problem. A lower federal court has already taken a hard look at these tariffs and said, nope, these are illegal. A huge blow to the administration. So what do you do when your back is against the wall? Well, you go all in. The administration is pushing all its chips to the middle of the table and taking its case to the only place left. That's right. They're throwing a total Hail Mary, desperately asking the Supreme Court to save their entire plan. So, how did this massive legal battle even start? If you're ready for the breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe. Okay, let's dive into this. All right, so how in the world did we get to this point? It all kicked off with a really clear, really powerful court ruling. Okay, get this. On August 29th, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit brought down the hammer. They came out with a decisive verdict, ruling that the president had totally overstepped his authority. They found the law he used just didn't give him the power to do what he did. Now, the law at the very center of this whole fight is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. A mouthful, I know. It was passed way back in 1977 to give the president special powers to deal with really extraordinary threats during a national emergency. And this, right here, is the crux of the entire legal fight. You see, historically, IFPA was used to target our enemies, to slap on sanctions or freeze their assets. But the Trump administration used it to impose these huge tariffs on tons of countries, and a lot of them are our allies. The court pretty much said, yeah, that's not what this law is for. But listen, this is way more than just some dusty legal debate. The outcome of this case could have a massive, and I mean massive, impact on the entire U.S. economy. The administration's argument, which was summed up by Solicitor General Dyo-news, is that these tariffs are absolutely essential. They're claiming they're promoting peace and unprecedented economic prosperity, and that without them, the nation is looking at an economic catastrophe. But on the flip side, opponents are painting a very different picture. Jeffrey Schwab over at the Liberty Justice Center argues these tariffs are doing the complete opposite, that they're inflicting serious harm on small businesses and jeopardizing their survival. So which one is it? Is this the golden ticket to prosperity? Or is it what some are calling Grinchonomics, a policy that could jack up prices for all of us by messing with supply chains, right before the holidays? And now, we get to the most explosive part of this story. Some people watching this think it's way more than just a legal appeal. They see it as a straight-up political power play. So let me just ask you this. Is the administration actually arguing the law in good faith, or is this entire appeal to the Supreme Court just one giant high-stakes bluff? Well, according to former federal prosecutor Ankush Kardori, it just might be the latter. He wrote that a less generous read is that this is an effort to politically blackmail the court. The unspoken threat here? Forcing the very court where Trump appointed 3 justices to either bail him out or take the blame for sinking his entire economic agenda. It's a bold move. So with the stakes this incredibly high, what happens next? Well, all eyes are now glued on the Supreme Court. Here's the timeline. By September 10th, the court is going to decide if it's even going to hear this case. If they say yes, the administration is pushing for oral arguments in early November, and after that, we all just wait for that final binding ruling that will decide the fate of these tariffs once and for all. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Faced with this kind of intense political pressure, is the Supreme Court going to fold and give the administration what it wants, or are they going to call the bluff and stand by the lower court's rule? What do you think is going to happen? I want to know your prediction, so drop it down in the comments below. And as always, if you want more deep dives just like this one, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.